First, a brief note about safety. So in terms of DIY, do-it-yourself, different, experiments, everything, basically never break the law, never put yourself and others in jeopardy, don't basically cause some type of disaster, always abide by local, state, national, international laws and regulations, whatever. But basically, so what we're talking about is thought experiment. To a hammer, everything is a nail. To a hammer, everything is a nail. Not very sophisticated, right? So in any type of scenario, so let's get a little philosophical here. So if we're talking about incident or problem management, right? So kind of a problem management perspective. If firefighting is incident management, there's a fire here and there, basically fire truck, firefighter, they put out the fire. But if we were the chief fire marshal, basically the idea would be problem management, incident suppression. So basically our idea, it's going to pivot to automation, robotics, automation, artificial intelligence. But this is the way we think. We're just trying to describe how we think. If we were the fire marshal, we would try to put firefighting out of business. We'll get to the labor issue later, but basically, whether that's, fire retardant systems, advanced autonomous fire suppression, fire prevention, and autonomous systems, eventually if the world gets there, but we're just using it as thought experiment. We're not advocating anything. We're just saying that's how we think. We are against the idea of individually fighting fires. If there's a way to put the whole firefighting business out of work, we think that's brilliant. And so we were going to different places, and there's robots. These robots, autonomous machines cleaning hardwood floors. They're cleaning carpets, hardwood floors across, airports. So basically, that's got to be a major labor eliminating technology. So in our opinion, there's a Marxist, Leninist in us. So basically, the argument is technology bad. We're in favor of artificial intelligence. We're in favor of labor redundancy, and we believe that, okay, so if you have 2 billion, basically if you have billions and billions of people, and work, so much labor is being eliminated, we think we believe this kind of Leninist perspective that it's liberating ultimately. Once the road is crossed, if technology makes a lot of labor redundant, it doesn't mean there's not going to be people. We think it's just going to cause humanity to be a lot more creative. And all progress is predicated upon in our opinion, the advances in the technological advancement of the means of production. And so if we're talking about the shape of the earth, we kind of think again back to a hammer, everything is a what? It's a freaking nail. So basically, now whether people believe there's a firmament, whether it's at an extreme elevation, and the firmament encapsulates, enclosed within are the planets, what is so-called other planets, so-called lights within a firmament, where people might believe they're stars, planets, whatever. But generally, here's our argument. Now, if there's an assumption, if there's basically whether you believe that there is a very high dome or firmament, or if you believe that there is the vacuum of space and there's planets based on the majority model, either way. Now, this is a thought experiment. Whether a firmament, whether there's space at a sufficient elevation relative to planet Earth, one should be able to easily determine if there is a curve or if the Earth is flat. One very fundamental way is at a sufficient elevation, you should not see a hemisphere. If the Earth is flat, there won't be a hemisphere. Because all the continents should be visible on a disk, even if you're not in space. Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it space or firmament. So at a certain elevation, even if you're within the firmament, at a certain distance, you should look down and not see a hemisphere, but rather the surface of the disk, and it should contain basically all the nations, all the continents, political nations, political borders. Basically, you won't, whether it's flat Earth or sphere Earth, you're not going to see those political boundaries. right? You got to insert politics into every freaking thing. So, but basically, to us, that would be the easiest nail solution. Hammer to nail, nail to hammer. So if there's a billionaire, if there's a trillionaire, basically Elon Musk, whatever trillionaires, here's our invite. Why don't you take us into space? And if you already have a crew, if there's any type of mass weight considerations, how about, basically, just sideline 2 of the crew and instead put us on board? Wouldn't that be a great solution? But basically, we like the idea of a lawful, legal, legitimate, safe, whatever regulatory, governmental approvals. If there's an authorized mission, whether you believe it's a firmament, whether you believe there's a space, you're going to be in the outer edges of the Earth atmosphere, into near space, whatever. At a certain elevation, you should basically, it doesn't have to be scientific. You basically have a non-fisheye lens camera, and you look down, you take a video or photo, and it should show if it's a disc Earth, if it's a flat Earth, you won't see a hemisphere. Point simple. Point made. That's all we want to say about that.